Playing with Power MTG. Powerful cards, powerful formats. Be sure to check out Dragon Shield for all of the best accessories to protect your decks. TCGPLAYER for cards at great prices while supporting local game stores. And Patreon, where you get awesome benefits for your direct support. For tonight's game, we are playing with our patron Tyler. For Tyler's game tonight, he wanted us to all play with the commanders that came from the Commander 2013 precons. He wanted to see if the classic CEDH commanders of old were still up to the challenge of being viable today. So, we took our commanders, brought them up to today's standards and strategies, and now you get to see the result. Tyler was able to choose tonight's theme because he signed up to our Moxed Pearl tier on Patreon. Moxed Pearls get to be on a gameplay episode and choose the theme of the game if they wish. We appreciate all of the support from our patrons. Our Patreon offers tons of benefits in return for your support, including Discord access, behind-the-scenes footage, raw gameplay, additional gameplay series, merchandise discounts, archive footage, and the ability to play with us. We have tiers at all budgets, so sign up today. Now, let's start out by showcasing our fighters this evening. First, we have Zach piloting Prosh, Skyraider of Care. This is a Jund food chain deck that looks to assemble the food chain combo using Prosh and a sack outlet to kill the table. Prosh has fallen out of favor as a food chain commander with the pairings of Korvold and the First Sliver, so we will see how he does tonight. Zach's opening hand contains a food chain, Imperial Recruiter, Vexing Shusher, Badlands, Snow-Covered Forest, City of Brass, and a Marsh Flats. Next, we have Mike piloting Derevi, Imperial Tactician. This is a stacks list that uses Derevi's ability to break parity. Once your opponents are locked out, you send in the beats with things like Elish Norn or combo with Emil the Blessed. Derevi was the premier CEDH stacks commander before 2016. Then partners appeared and 4 color counterparts took Derevi's place. We will see how he fares tonight. His opening hand contains a Mana Crypt, Wild Growth, Spellseeker, Emil the Blessed, Tanglewire, Veil of Summer, and a Breeding Pool. After that we have Ryan piloting Jaleva, Nefalia's Scourge. This is a Grixis mid-range deck that looks to take advantage of Underworld Breach, Wheels, and Consultation. Jaleva was a great Grixis commander, but the printing of Keth, Dissonant Mage in Commander 2017 dethroned this noble vampire. Ryan's opening hand contains a Felwar Stone, Blood Crypt, Praetor's Grasp, Wooded Foothills, Dockside Extortionist, Underground Sea, and a Wheel of Fortune. Finally, we have Tyler piloting Nekuzar, the Mind Razor. This is an ad nauseam and wheel deck that abuses its commander's ability to burn out the table. Although a very unique ability and similar to Jaleva, Nekuzar has been replaced by Kess and Grixis partner pairings like Tevish Krom and Roger Silas. His opening hand contains an Ancient Tomb, Bloodstained Mire, Reflecting Pool, Fork, Cyclonic Rift, Hull Breacher, and a Mystic Remora. Without further ado, let's begin this fabulous, fair, fancy, fickle, fresh festival of friendship. Zach wins the Magic History Trivia game and gets to start us off. Zach draws a card for turn and plays a Marsh Flats. He passes the turn. Mike draws a card for turn and plays a Breeding Pool untapped, paying 2 life. He casts a Mana Crypt. He casts a Sylvan Library. He ships the turn to Ryan. Ryan draws a card for turn and pays 2 life to cast Jataxian Probe, targeting Tyler. He looks at Tyler's hand and draws a card. He plays an Underground Sea and passes. Tyler draws a card for turn and plays a Bloodstained Mire. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Volcanic Island onto the battlefield. He casts a Mystic Remora. Tyler ends his turn. At the end of Tyler's turn, Zach cracks his Marsh Flats, pays a life, and fetches up an Overgrown Tomb onto the battlefield tapped. Zach draws and plays a Badlands. He casts a Vexing Shusher. Zach passes. During his upkeep, Mike loses his Mana Crypt flip and takes 3 damage. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional cards through Sylvan Library. He pays 8 life to keep them both. He plays a Temple Garden untapped, paying 2 life. He casts a Wild Growth on his Breeding Pool. Remora triggers and Tyler draws. Mike follows it up by casting a Trinosphere. Remora triggers and Tyler draws. 3-ball resolves, and Mike ends his turn. Ryan draws and plays a Blood Crypt, tapped. He passes the Tyler. During his upkeep, Tyler pays to keep his Mystic Remora. He draws and plays a Reflecting Pool. He ends the turn. Zach draws and plays a Misty Rainforest. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Taiga onto the battlefield. He casts an Imperial Recruiter. It enters, and then Zach fetches up a Walking Ballista into his hand. Everyone getting kinda worried, Zach passes the turn. During his upkeep, Mike loses his Mana Crypt flip and takes 3 damage. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional cards through Sylvan Library. He pays 4 life to keep 1 extra. The table jokes that they didn't know Mike was playing a Masochist tribal deck, and he plays a Misty Rainforest. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Tundra onto the battlefield. He casts his commander, Derevi, Imperial Tactician. Derevi enters, and Mike untaps his Breeding Pool. He casts a Spellseeker. It enters, and Mike fetches up a Neoform into his hand. He ships the turn to Ryan. Ryan draws and plays a Wooded Foothills. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a volcanic island onto the battlefield. He casts a Dockside Extortionist. It enters, and Ryan creates 5 treasures. He casts a Felwar Stone. Remora triggers, and Tyler draws. Ryan casts Wheel of Fortune. Wheel resolves, and each player discards their hand and draws 7. Zach groans because he discards a Food Chain and Walking Ballista. Ryan then ends his turn. During his upkeep, Tyler pays to keep his Remora. He plays a Sunken Ruins and ships the turn. Zach draws and plays a Forest. He casts a Mox Diamond, discarding a Swamp. Remora triggers and Tyler draws. Zach moves to combat and attacks Tyler with Recruiter and Shusher. Tyler takes it and Zach passes. During his upkeep, Mike loses his Mana Crypt flip and takes 3 damage. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional through Sylvan Library. He pays no life, putting 2 back on top. He plays a Command Tower. He casts a Green Sun Zenith where X equals 3. Remora triggers and Tyler draws. Mike fetches up a Yisan, the Wanderer Bard, onto the battlefield, shuffling Green Sun back into his library. He moves to combat and attacks Tyler with Derevi and Spellseeker. Tyler takes it and Derevi triggers twice. Mike untaps his Breeding Pool and Mana Crypt and then ends his turn. Ryan draws, decides to leave open mana, and passes, discarding to hand size. During his upkeep, Tyler doesn't pay for his Mystic Remora and sacrifices it. He draws and plays a Prismatic Vista. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up an island onto the battlefield. He casts a Riel, the Everwise. Tyler ends his turn, discarding to hand size. Riel triggers and Tyler draws a card. He moves back to his end step and passes, discarding to hand size again. Zach draws and plays a Windswept Heath. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Bayou onto the battlefield. He casts a Temur Sabertooth. Zach passes. At the end of Zach's turn, Mike casts an Enlightened Tutor. He fetches up a Winter Orb onto the top of his library. Still at the end of Zach's turn, Ryan casts Brain Freeze, targeting Mike with a storm count of 3. Mike mills 9 cards, including Winter Orb. The turn then moves to Mike. During his upkeep, Mike loses his Mana Crypt flip again and takes 3 damage. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional cards through Sylvan Library. He pays no life, putting 2 back on top. He plays a Yavimaya Coast, and then casts the card he just drew, Hokori Dust Drinker. The table sighs, and Hokori resolves. Mike moves to combat and attacks Tyler with Derevi. Tyler takes it, and Derevi triggers. He untaps his Mana Crypt, and then ships the turn to Ryan. During his upkeep, Ryan untaps 1 land through Hokori. He draws and plays a Badlands. He passes to Tyler. During his upkeep, Tyler untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and plays a Scalding Tarn. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up an Underground Sea onto the battlefield. He moves to combat and attacks Mike with Riel. Mike chump blocks Riel with Spellseeker, and Tyler ends his turn. During his upkeep, Zach untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and moves to combat. He attacks Mike with Sabertooth. In response, Mike casts Swords to Plowshares, targeting Temur Sabertooth. Sabertooth is exiled, and Zach gains 4 life. Zach passes the turn. At the end of Zach's turn, Mike activates Yisan. He puts the first counter onto him, and in response, Tyler flashes in an Opposition Agent. Mike groans, Yisan resolves, and Tyler looks at his hand and then fetches up a Spectral Sailor from Mike's library and exiles it. The turn then passes to Mike. During his upkeep, Mike untaps a land through Hokori. He loses his Mana Crypt flip and takes 3 damage. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional cards through Sylvan Library. He pays no life and puts 2 back on top. He plays a Wooded Foothills and moves to combat. He attacks Tyler with Derevi. Tyler takes it and Derevi triggers. Mike untaps Derevi and then ships the turn to Ryan. During his upkeep, Ryan untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and casts a Cyclonic Rift, targeting Trinosphere. Freeball then returns to Mike's hand and Ryan follows it up by casting a Talisman of Creativity. He casts a Mana Vault. Ryan passes. During his upkeep, Tyler untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and casts a Brainstorm. He draws 3 and puts 2 back on top. Tyler moves to combat and attacks Mike with Riel. Mike chump blocks Riel again with Derevi, and then Tyler ends his turn. During his upkeep, Zach untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and casts an Elvish Mystic. He casts an Elves of Deep Shadow. He passes the turn. During his upkeep, Mike untaps a land through Hokori. He finally wins his Mana Crypt flip. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional through Sylvan Library. He pays no life, putting 2 back on top. Mike plays a Waterlogged Grove and then taps it to cast a Birds of Paradise. He ends the turn. During his upkeep, Ryan untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and casts a Dark Confidant. He passes. During his upkeep, Tyler untaps a land through Hokori. He draws and casts a Dark Ritual. He casts a Soul Ring. He casts a Grim Monolith. Tyler moves to combat. In response, Mike activates Derevi's ability and puts her onto the battlefield. Derevi triggers and Mike taps down Riel. Tyler moves through phases and then passes the turn to Zach. During his upkeep, Zach untaps a land through Hikori. He draws and casts an Allosaurus Shepherd. Zach passes. During his upkeep, Mike untaps a land through Hikori. He loses his mana crypt flip and takes 3 damage. During his draw step, he draws 2 additional cards through Sylvan Library. He pays no life and puts 2 back on top. He casts a Soul Ring. He moves to combat and attacks Tyler with Derevi. Tyler takes it and Derevi triggers. Mike untaps his command tower. He passes the turn. At the end of Mike's turn, Ryan flashes in Hull Breacher. During his upkeep, Ryan untaps a land through Hikori. He reveals an Intuition through Dark Confidant, puts it into his hand, and loses 3 life. During his draw step, he takes the damage from his mana vault. He casts a Wheel of Misfortune. In response, Zach casts Red Elemental Blast, destroying Hull Breacher. Wheel of Misfortune then resolves, and each player secretly chooses a number. They all reveal at the same time. Mike chose 3, Zach and Tyler chose 5, and Ryan chose 7. Ryan loses 7 life, and then Zach, Tyler, Ryan all discard their hands and draw 7. Riel triggers, and Tyler draws an additional 5 cards. Ryan plays an island. He casts a Lion's Eye Diamond. He passes to Tyler. During his upkeep, Tyler untaps a land through Hikori. He draws and casts a Mox Amber. He plays a mountain. He casts a Dockside Extortionist. It enters, and Tyler creates 9 treasures. Tyler casts Underworld Breach. In response, Mike casts Fierce Guardianship for its alternate cost, targeting Underworld Breach. Tyler responds by casting Pact of Negation, targeting Fierce Guardianship. Zach responds by activating Vexing Shusher, making Fierce Guardianship uncounterable. Pact resolves but doesn't counter Guardianship, and then Fierce Guardianship counters Underworld Breach. Tyler casts Gilded Drake. It enters and exchanges control with Vexing Shusher. He casts a Demonic Tutor. Tyler fetches up a card into his hand. He casts Yawgmoth's Will. It resolves and exiles itself. Tyler casts Hull Breacher from his graveyard. He casts an Echo of Eons for its flashback cost. In response, Mike casts Dovin's Veto, targeting Echo of Eons. Echo is countered, and Tyler follows it up by casting Mox Opal from his graveyard. He casts a Burning Inquiry from his graveyard. Inquiry resolves, Tyler draws 3 cards, and then creates 9 treasures through Hull Breacher, and then everyone discards 3 cards at random. Riel triggers, and Tyler draws 3 more cards. He casts a Lotus Petal. He casts a Library of Ling. He casts a Whispering Madness. Each player discards their hand, Tyler draws 6 cards, and creates 18 more treasures through Hull Breacher. He then ciphers Whispering Madness onto Riel. He casts his commander, Nekuzar the Mindraiser. He casts Pheresis onto Nekuzar, giving him Infect. He casts a Vampiric Tutor. He fetches up a card onto the top of his library and loses 2 life. He casts a Fire Covenant from his graveyard, paying 6 life, and killing his own Hull Breacher, Dockside, Dark Confidant, and Allosaurus Shepherd. He moves to combat and attacks Ryan with Riel. Ryan takes 12, and the Cipher ability on Whispering Madness triggers. Tyler casts a copy of Whispering Madness. Each player discards their hand and draws 4 cards. Tyler's opponents each take 4 infect damage from Nekuzar. Tyler then casts Time Twister. Each player shuffles their hands and graveyard into their library and draws 7 cards. Each of Tyler's opponents takes 7 more points of infect damage from Nekuzar, and Tyler wins the game. It is Patreon shoutout time. I'd like to give a shout out to Nathan Smith, Elijah Miller, J-Rock, Pyro, Dark, Philip Hickey, Brad Tobin, Sanguina Lindsay, Snarps the Cleft, Matt Wingrove, Delph Driz, Dante, Jared Smith, Baby Jeebus, Rakeko, Greg Babe, Zods, Wayan, Spilrahu, Sparks, CZ, and Nick. Thank you all very much.